Welcome to my next Lost. Season 5 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you are caught up to the point where I am, and you're watching Lost, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, if you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And full disclosure, I've already seen the TV series Lost 3 other times. It does rank in my top 5 favorite TV series of all time. I absolutely love it, even the ending. But I'm not the only one that's currently watching Lost. The legendary Crazy Coffee Man, who you see in my comments section for Lucifer, Breaking Bad, Dexter, Dexter New Blood, Dexter Original Sin, and a few times physical media related videos, is actually watching Lost for the very first time, so he's in for a real treat. So join us on the journey and let's discuss this awesome and amazing show in the comments section. However, I don't want to see any spoilers past this episode in this comment section. So with all that said, this will be Lost Season 5, Episode 12. The title of this episode is called Dead is Dead. And this will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episode. So we have Charles Whitmore arriving at the others' camp on horseback. This is obviously in the past. After a short exchange with Richard Alpert, he enters a tent in which young Benjamin Linus is still recovering from his gunshot wound from Saeed. He's staying in there. As they chat, it becomes crystal clear that Benjamin Linus doesn't recall how he was injured, and Charles Whitmore tells Ben that they will send him back to live with the Dharma Initiative soon, but assures Ben that he can still be one of the others. And then in the current time, that's actually the past, Ben awakens to find John Locke sleeping over him, but Ben exhibits surprise that Locke is alive, but tells Locke that he expected his resurrection. He also tells Locke that he broke the rules and has to face the consequences, which will result in being judged by the monster. It's the smoke monster, that's what I call it. Ben then travels out to the beach where several survivors, including Bram and Elena, are trying to transport a crate filled with what they call necessary supplies. Ben speaks to Caesar about John Locke, telling him that he doesn't believe that Locke was on the plane, and then Ben calls ignorance when Caesar informs him that Locke believes that Ben killed him, saying that Locke is insane and dangerous. Caesar tells Ben that he has his back and shows him the shotgun he had taken from Ben's office earlier in the season. We go back to a flashback. Ben and a young Ethan stand outside a camp watching a tent. Ethan attempts to convince Ben to let him take charge, but Ben tells Ethan to be quiet and enters the camp alone. Inside the tent, a sleeping Danielle Russo, a younger one obviously. Ben lifts his gun to kill her, but her baby awakens and begins to cry, and Ben knocks over Russo's music box. Russo questions Ben about what he is doing there and assumes that he is a carrier for the infection. Ben takes the baby in his arms, firing a shot into the sand and telling Russo not to move. He tells her that the child will be safe with them and that she should consider herself lucky to be left alive. He then tells her that every time she hears whispers, she is to run the other way. Ben leaves the tent and the beach with the baby and Ethan. Then Ben browses his desk in the future for something the future meaning the present time. When he finds a picture of himself and Alex, he opens the frame and puts the photo into his pocket. Just when John Locke enters the room, Locke demands to talk with Ben about the fact that he killed him. Ben replies that it was the only way to bring him back, as well as the rest of them, and that he had vital information. Locke then said to him that he wanted an apology, but goes on and offers his help to Ben facing the monster, the smoke monster, let's call it. Ben and Locke prepare to travel to the Outriggers, intending to take one of them to the main island in order for Ben to be judged by the smoke monster. And then suddenly, Caesar and 3 other survivors appear and confront the two. Caesar asserts his position as the leader and forbids the 2 of them to use the Outriggers to go anywhere. Locke refuses to listen, and Caesar attempts to draw his shotgun, but it isn't there. Ben reveals that he has it, and blasts an unarmed Caesar in the chest. He tells the 3 remaining survivors to go away, and then Ben gives the shotgun and tells him to consider it as an apology for murdering John Locke. Locke puts on Christian Shepherd's shoes before stepping on the island. He tells Ben that he believes Ben is only seeking forgiveness for the death of Alex. Ben does not confirm or deny this. Back to a flashback. Upon Ben's return to camp, he is angrily confronted by an aging Charles Whitmore, who demands to know why Ben is holding a baby. Ben is angered that Whitmore has not informed him of the baby prior to his accepting this mission. Ben says Russo poses no threat to them. Whitmore demands that Ben kill the baby, claiming it to be the will of Jacob. Ben refuses and instead proposes that if it were indeed the will of the island, Whitmore should be able to do it instead. Scoffing at this, Whitmore turns his back and leaves, Ben holding the baby. Back to what is the current timeline in the past. Ben and Locke travel to the barracks where they see a silhouetted shadow pacing in the window of Alex's old room. Upon investigation, Ben finds that it is Son. Frank Lapidus is also in the house, and they tell Ben that a man named Christian Shepherd told them to wait there for John Locke, who they discover is standing just outside. Of course, Son sees this and is shocked by that. Son shows Ben the photo of the Dharma recruits of 1977 and expresses surprise that Ben doesn't know their friends were in the Dharma initiative. Frank Lapidus warns Son about listening to a dead man and a murderer, but Son asserts that she would follow them if there's a chance that Jin would still be alive. Ben retreats to the secret room hidden in his closet behind the bookcase, where he drains the pool of muddy water in an attempt to summon the monster, the smoke monster, let's call it. He says out loud, almost as an afterthought to the whole, "I'll be outside." Back to a flashback. Ben is pushing a young Alex on a swing set when he is approached by Richard Alpert. Richard informs Ben that the submarine is about to leave, but Ben does not need to see its passengers off if he does not want to. Ben feels he needs to, however, but goes to the dock where Whitmore is in restraints and being led by armed guards to the submarine. Ben speaks to Whitmore, who feels Ben has come to gloat about his victory in having Whitmore exiled from the island. Whitmore has been exiled for breaking the rules, namely for regularly leaving the island and for having a family off the island, specifically a daughter with an outsider. And then Whitmore tells Ben that he will have to one day choose between Alex and the island. He is then led to the submarine and exiled from the island. Ben goes outside to wait with Son. Son says that Jack probably lied about John's death to convince them to return to the island, but Ben reveals to her that John Locke was dead and that he had no idea that Locke would be resurrected. He had never seen the island perform such a miracle. Frank Lapidus leaves to return to the Hydra Island after failing to convince Son to come with him. The smoke monster doesn't appear, and John Locke tells Ben that they need to go find it. Ben claims that he does not know where the monster lives, but John Locke tells him that he does, the smoke monster. They keep calling it the monster. It's the smoke monster. Every Lost fan refers to it as the smoke monster. Back to a flashback. Before returning to the island, Ben is walking along a marina and calls Charles Whitmore, informing him that he's going to kill Charles Whitmore's daughter, Penny, who is also on the marina, or also at the marina. So this is, like I said, just before returning back to the island, a flashback. Ben and Son follow Locke to the temple walls. Locke then reveals that they are going to be entering through a hole in the earth. They do so, though Son remains outside. Before Ben enters, he tells Son that if she might leave the island, she should find Desmond and tell him that he is sorry. When Son asks for what, Ben tells her that Desmond will understand. And then back to returning before the island, Ben is met by an arriving Desmond unloading groceries from a car. When he asks Ben what he's doing there, Ben shoots Desmond once in the chest, causing him to fall to the ground. Ben then continues on the boat, where he holds Penny at gunpoint, telling her that her father killed his daughter. Penny maintains that she has no relationship with her father. As Ben prepares to shoot her, he sees Penny and Desmond's son, Charlie. Ben then lowers his gun, but is tackled and severely beaten by Desmond, who then uses both arms to lift and throw him off the dock and into the water. Frank Lapidus arrives back at the Hydra Island in the outrigger. He is soon approached by Jed, who warns him that Ilana and a few other survivors have weapons. Frank cautious walks into camp, where he is suddenly held at gunpoint by Ilana and Bram. Ilana asks Frank what lies in the shadow of the statue. When Frank is unable to answer, she knocks him out with the butt of the gun and tells Bran to get everyone else, tells them it's time, and to tie Frank up as he's coming with them. Locke and Ben like torches. Ben tells Locke that he believes that Locke's reasoning was right and that he is seeking penance for Alex's death. Soon afterwards, the ground underneath Ben gives away and he falls into another level of the temple. Locke tells Ben that he will go get something to help Ben back up and leaves, ignoring Ben's commands not to. Ben then journeys on, looking at columns covered in hieroglyphics, pausing to observe a stone panel covered in Egyptian-style carvings, which depicts the monster and the jackal-headed figure, possibly like some Egyptian, something Egyptian or something like that, facing each other. Below the carving is a stone grand angled upwards. Ben hears the trademark noises of the smoke monster and witnesses it rise out of the grate in front of him. The monster surrounds Ben, swirling around him. And then Ben is faced with memories of Alex and Charles Whitmore, including Alex's death at the hands of Martin Keamy. After showing these visions to Ben, the smoke monster abates, followed by the appearance moments later of an apparition in the form of Alex. Ben apologizes to Alex, admitting fault in everything, which she acknowledges. She then pins him up against the nearby column, informing Ben that she is aware of his plan to kill John Locke again, and demanding his firm dedication to follow John Locke's leadership, or she will destroy him. Ben promises and Alex disappears. Locke calls Ben back to the hull and lowers a vine in order to pull him up. Ben reveals that the monster has let him live, and that's what ends this episode of Lost. So I'm going to score the episode an 8.4 out of 10. It was good. These season 5 episodes aren't great or phenomenal, though, at least yet. Not yet. And then my characters of the episode, Benjamin Linus, John Locke, those were the two standouts for me. So you've heard everything that I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Lost and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you Hulk smash the like button, share this video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comments section and interact with me and the legendary Crazy Coffee Man. What would you score this episode? And who would be your character or characters of the episode? And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel. Help me get over 100,000 subscribers. Yes, I helped set my goals pretty high. Join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.